Hi, this is Linda
And this is Joseph.
with Generation to Generation.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about forgiveness and no apologies and forgiveness.
No.
Okay.
And you had it right the first time. Only because you have to learn how to forgive someone even though they don't apologize. So let's talk about forgiveness first.
Gotcha. And today we are with our friends again, Pastor Kathy and Pastor James. Welcome to the broadcast again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be with you again, as always.
So forgiveness, right? And working that out before you have to apologize. Or even if you don't get your apology.
Yes.
You got to still work on some forgiveness,
Yeah,
which could take a while.
Because if they don't apologize, you still have that feeling and that emotion. So let's talk about how to deal with that. If they apologize, that's just a bonus. But at least you work on that part of forgiving the person.
Okay.
Or letting it go.
So what do you guys think? We're coming to the experts.
Let's look. Where are they?
Not by a long shot.
No.
I think forgiveness is extremely important. I think it's important though to define what it is, and then to have the ability to do it, to develop the ability to do it. So I would start by just defining forgiveness. Forgiveness for working purposes is releasing a person from a debt. It's basically releasing them from a debt. And so whenever a person offends you or does something that hurts your feelings, it creates a debt in that you feel like they owe you something. And that feeling of you owe me can get us in a lot of trouble because we don't have control over them. They may not feel like they owe us. And so the inner thing that's going on inside of us with dealing with, I feel like you owe me, can create bitterness, resentment, sharp, a sharp, edgy type of feeling that, which then in turn can cause us to act in ways that are detrimental to closeness and caring and cooperation. So forgiveness really is understanding that it's really not about that person that created the debt. It's really about us that's holding the ticket to the debt. It has really very little to do with the other person. It has everything to do with the person that's hurt.
Because you can't make another person apologize. You can't make another person feel like they offended you. Sometimes people are just who they are. And some people have, sometimes people can have quick and witty ways of saying things, but they are not sensitive enough to know that what they said hurt you, offended you, caused you to think about yourself in a different way, or feel even less of your about yourself because of what was said. So we have to be very conscious of our words. And I think that people have learned to be more cautious of their words because we do a lot of texting. And for me, I know that sometimes I will try to review what I say before I hit the send button, because I don't want it to be misinterpreted because I'm not there. You don't hear the tone of my voice. You don't see my body posture. You're not looking in my eyes. So you have no way of knowing what's the climate behind what I'm saying. And so I think in a sense, we've started to learn how important good conversation is. And a good conversation begins with, what is that other person experiencing at this time? we might have something important to say, but it might not be a good time to discuss something important because that person may not be present to respond back to you how you feel that you want to be responded to.
Yeah. Yeah. So while an apology may be something that it's the first thing that you can offer another person. It's actually the person that's hurt or offended is where forgiveness starts. It starts with them. And
Making a decision.
yeah, and it begins with a decision and not an emotion. You never forgive a person. You never wait till you feel like it to forgive a person. That creates a lot of unhealthy things that go on inside of the person that's holding the offense. Even the medical industry will tell you that the stress that you have to deal with, your body has to deal with to hold on to an offense is detrimental to you. It hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. So
it weakens your, I'm sorry.
No, but
No. It weakens your immune system. It damages your organs. You know, and sometimes people don't think about, you know how we've seen people that turn red, beat red because they're so angry. Their fist balls up because they're so angry, and you can just sense, you can sense the negative emotion that's going on with them. And sometimes people aren't even aware of it, because I've seen some people that are so red, it's like if you don't bring your temperature down, you could end up having a heart attack.
Yeah, stroke out or have a heart attack.
Yeah.
All kinds of things could happen, especially over a period of time. Resentment held over a period of time can become, well, the Bible calls it a stronghold. It can become a stronghold in your life. And that
something that grabs you,
something that grabs and won't let go. And that then becomes the dictator of the process of your life. So forgiveness is really about keeping control over your own life. It's not letting something else decide your destiny or how you're going to function. It's you making the choice to decide, this is not going to hold me or keep me from functioning or doing the thing that I know that I'm supposed to do. I know just the other night, last night, in fact, in our Bible study, we was talking about this. And I tried to paint this word picture.
It was so.
And if you could imagine that you had a quilt tied around you, a real long quilt, maybe a 30 or 40-foot quilt that's tied around you, and you're walking through life, and unforgiveness puts boulders on your quilt. And you have to drag those boulders everywhere you go, because it's not the other person, it's in you. And you take it with you wherever you go. If you're walking up a hill of life, you drag that boulder up the hill. If you're going down, it's keeping you from getting there fast enough. It's just being, if you're trying to run, you can't run as fast as you would run because you're dragging this 100-pound boulder. And just think in terms of 3 or 4 boulders sitting on your sheet, and how that can limit you from achieving potential in life.
How can you get people though to see that or sense that? Because because I understand the word picture, but sometimes, you know, to get people to understand, you know, you're resentful, right? And this is how do you get people to actually see that? Because I can understand what you're saying, because normally they don't, since you don't feel it right away, you know, but you think that you got a right to be upset and a right to be mad. So stuff does not happen to your body that you can sense right away. You know what I mean? So what are some key points or some techniques, or I'm trying to figure out the right word, to help to get people to realize, hey, you know what, you actually are
hurting yourself.
dragging around this boulder, and you just don't feel it. Because I think that's the thing that trips us up, right?
Right.
Because you can start smoking or something, and you can start causing damage to your body. But since it's the first time you did it, you still feel the same way. I mean, you might, cough or something, but something is still going on inside your body.
Right.
I mean,
right. And as the analogy you use with smoking is also if you have people around you dragging boulders too, and your surrounding or that you interact with are a bunch of people carrying or dragging boulders, you can normalize dragging boulders and just resign to this is what life is. The one thing I would say is that stair step that we may have talked about in one of the other episodes, 4 stairs of learning, and one is unskilled and unaware, and the other one is unskilled but aware. And I think that is the step where you're saying, how do you get people to become aware of the damage, potential damage that can be caused, that they could cause to themselves by holding this. One is you have to present the knowledge. And first of all, you got to get hired as a consultant. And once you're hired as a consultant, you got to present the knowledge, and at the same time model the proper way of behaving. And because it's really, sadly to say, it's really up to them. You can't make people buy into that. And people have lived their life, Joe, with 4 and 5 boulders, just dragging them, and they've normalized it and thought that's all life was, and they never reach what they could have been, and blame that on somebody else. Yeah, it's somebody else's fault because I didn't become, my life wasn't as good as I thought I wanted it to be, or I didn't achieve this thing I was going to achieve. The reality is I spent more energy in being upset at the person than I spent trying to achieve a goal. Then my goal became being upset.
Man, it's so permeated this society. It's like, wow, how are we going to get out this mess?
Yeah. I think that again, this is something that, first of all, it needs to be modeled, and I think it's why it's so important for healthy couples to model what a healthy relationship looks like, and so that children grow up understanding and normalizing something that's actually healthy for them.
And when they see the opposite, they're shocked. It's like,
whoa. Because the reality is, at any point in your life, you can make the decision to free a person. If you hold them in captivity, the one that's in captivity is actually you holding them. You're the one in captivity. They're not. They're going on living their life. They're doing their thing. They may, through their lens, they may have the orange pair of sunglasses on, you have the blue pair of sunglasses on. So what they did hurt your feelings. And because it hurt your feelings, the person with the problem has to speak. So you speak up. But because of their lens, they don't see it as a problem.
Yes.
So now they're not, because they don't see this as a problem, and they may not have the goodwill that they should have for you, because they may have normalized goodwill as dangerous not to have it. So they keep a safe distance. they don't think this is important enough to do anything about, or they can become arrogant and self-centered and all of those kinds
And
of
insensitive. Because I was just thinking about people that will say things, and I know we've all heard this. I didn't mean it. Or get over it. Like what they said didn't damage you somehow. But if you keep saying the wrong thing again and again and again, at some point you've got to see the blood. You've got to see that I'm bleeding from what you're saying to me. But some people are very callous. They live in a world that is just about them and no one else. So when they say things or when they do things, it doesn't affect them because they have a hard heart. I'll just say it that way. And people that are hard-hearted can look at something happen and not feel a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother them because it's not directly affecting them. It can affect someone else, but hey, that's them.
Yeah.
And that's what has caused us to, I think even as a nation, we're separated because we're looking through different lenses, and I don't care what you see. It's not me. It may be my neighbor, but it doesn't affect me because I'm not doing it. But if we do things as a group of people and turn our backs, we're turning our backs on our neighbors. And it's important to live together, because if anything comes against us, we can't fight on our own. We always need someone else to, hook up with us. And so what is it that we need to do, and have a strategy? And it's important that our children see this demonstrated. They see us working together. Okay, we've got a problem. Okay, what do we need to do as a family to resolve this problem? Because the problem might be affecting a member of the family. It might be affecting the children. And as mom and dad, oh, that doesn't bother me. That's my child. Well, yes, it should bother you because we're a community. We're family. I mean, at the end of the day, all of us have to come together and work for a solution that will help everyone, not just me, but help everyone.
I think one concept is biblical in its essence, but it says to keep your heart with all diligence, because out of it are the issues of life. And to really make that come to life, it means guard against boulders. Because there's always people trying to put boulders on you, whether they're doing it consciously or unconsciously. They're trying to put boulders on your quilt, and you have to guard against that. And if they don't see it, you still have to guard against it. The only way you can get boulders off of you is to let them go. Because when you let them go, the boulder goes with them. It's no longer in you now.
And I don't know if anyone has ever done this, but there are some people that are they have toxic personalities. And to keep from getting poisoned, you have to suit yourself up not to be around. If I come around you, then I have to have on a hazmat suit, and that gets old. After a while, I just don't want to be around you because it's too much work. And we have to ask ourselves, am I causing people to have to step outside of their comfort zone to be with me? Because after a while, that's a lot of work just to be around you. I have to watch what I say. I have to watch what I do. I have to watch the way I behave. And one of the most precious things in a good relationship is that you can be yourself. And that doesn't mean I give you free rights to just say what you want to say and think how you want to think and feel how you want to feel, because you have to be conscious of the fact that you're not in this relationship by yourself. There's someone else in it with you. So the two of you together agree that I'm not going to allow poison to come out of my mouth. I'm not going to allow myself to be toxic so that you end up getting, burned or you end up getting sick because you're around me. Because sometimes and I'll just take, for instance, a family. There are families that are toxic. They're sick because they have clustered themselves within their own home, and they've said things or thought things or did things based on what they feel, not being open to other people's feelings or other people's experiences and what it must feel like, to be poor. You won't have a heart for the poor unless you've experienced a little bit of poverty. If you've always had things wonderful, you may not have the capacity to have empathy toward people that are barely making it or struggling. Now, there are some people that have had it good most of their life, and they just have a good heart and they want to help others. And then there are some people that said, well, hey, you got to make it for yourself.
I think the analogy again of
The quote.
the quilt, as far as unskilled and unaware, and then unskilled but aware, and then skilled and aware means now I'm fumbling with this and it's awkward to me, but I'm removing these stones. I'm taking them out. I'm purposefully taking stones off of my quilt.
I have an awareness.
I have an awareness of it. And that then becomes, I now need to know, now that I've let this person go, now that I've released them, they don't owe me anything. I actually have to view them as if they don't owe me anything. To do that, I got to deal with the hurt that's going on in me. I got to actually work on, I like to call it the knot that's setting up in my chest, because forgiveness has anything to do with the knot. It has to do with releasing them so I can get free. But at the same, now that I've freed them, now I'm free to deal with the knot in me. Okay, so quite often a person holds on to forgiveness. I have to ask myself a few questions. Why do I want to hold on to this? Why I've let them go, but I'm still inside trying to hold on to it. And it's creating resentment and bitterness, and sometimes that bleeds off into hostility and bad behavior. So I'm asking myself this question, am I pouting? Because if I'm pouting, it could because I come out of a culture that normalized pouting. I'm saying I'm letting you go, but actually I'm trying to make you pay.
Holding on to a grudge.
Am I
was going to say, excuse me. So when you said that, so what about I forgive you, but I will never forget?
No, that's a reality. That's a reality. Yeah, that's a reality. Just because you forgive a person doesn't mean you don't know what they did, or you probably will never forget what they did. It's just that what we are doing now is taking the sting out of what they did.
Yeah, because that can mean two things. The way I'm interpreting it, I forgive you, but I will never forget. Right? Not forgetting about reality. So wisdom and all that, but also saying it, oh, I forgive you, but I'm never going to forget. Like at some point, I'm going to do a little something to you. Yeah. Revenge, because I think you can have both flavors of it.
Yeah, and if you got that at some point thing going, you might want to examine, am I really forgiving you? Because forgiving you means I'm letting you go. You're actually free. You don't owe me anything now.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a decision that you come to a conclusion. This is not good for me. It's not healthy for me. Nothing is getting done. Nothing is being accomplished. So I have to make a decision. Do I let them go?
Yep.
Not forgetting what they've done, because that, will always probably be in our mind, because we take pictures of things that happen and it stays in our mind, but choosing not to act on it.
Yeah.
And quite often, because of things that people have done to you, you tend to have to set up boundaries around yourself. Because everybody's not able to be around you and not create pain for you. I one of the things I tell people, especially in relationships where they're having trouble. Okay, so the first order of business, stop creating pain. Stop creating pain. And that you start to really look at that and start to examine it. Am I doing this as a retaliatory action? Am I trying to punish you? Am I trying to hurt you because I feel hurt by something you said or done? Am I trying to hurt you? Because if I'm trying to do that, I still haven't forgiven you. I haven't freed you. I'm trying to punish. I'm in trying to make a person pay. You put yourself in bondage.
Because that person is going on about their business. They're just willy-nilly and all over the place, and you still have this knot.
You got this knot
in your chest.
They're sound asleep, getting real good sleep, and fully rested, and they're like, oh, woo! And you over there just mad and tired and sleepy. Yes. Yeah.
You got steam coming out of your ear.
Yeah. You didn't get but 3 hours of sleep. They got 9 hours. How dare, yeah, it could be like, woo.
Yeah.
Let it go. I mean, you gotta stop that poison.
Yeah, but again, that starts with a decision. It starts with a decision.
Yeah.
And our lives are too important to do without skills.
Right.
And the one thing we have to learn about our lives is our emotions cannot dictate how we live. They have never, anytime a person is living by their emotions, they're open to be taken advantage of. That is not a strong person.
You're a target.
Yeah.
Ooh, let me see what I can do to her today.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, and a lot of people, and some people throughout my life growing up, well, they try to like, Joe, why aren't you mad? You should be mad right now. Oh, they did that to me, and they tried to get me angry. You should be angry. And I just wasn't. Like, you know what? I never see the person again. I don't hang around the person that much. That's when I thought I had a lot more sense back then. I think I lost it, but anyway. But yeah, I had people in my life, that actually did that. You know how the people that you're driving with in the car, and then they reach and somebody cut in front of you, and they're in the passenger seat, and they reach over and do the horn. You never had people do that? I had people do that when I was throughout my life. Don't let them do that. I was like, why you? Because they don't think that I did it.
Right.
Stop their car. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And mess up my car, and you the one that blew the horn. And then you'll get an attitude when I ask you to pay for the damage.
But sometimes people live in the world of, I wouldn't let them do that to me.
Yeah.
How aren't you going to say something? It's like some people are very ticky. Any little thing and every little thing ticks them off, even if it doesn't include them, even if it's not about them. Well, I wouldn't take that if I were you. Oh, you're just being a punk. You know what? No, I'm wanting to live my life and not deal with drama. Some people are drama actor. They live in the world of drama. And I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that, and I don't want it. I don't want it in my life.
And then they call you up, Pastor Kathy, and tell you, hey, could you come down and pick me up? After you know why they're there, right?
Right. Oh man.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Do you feel like, is there some people that don't even know they're holding on to unforgiveness? I mean, can it be, what would you say, or how can they recognize it? I mean, like, you almost have to kind of think, how do I feel about each person? Am I holding on?
Yeah.
Feeling unaware stuff.
Yeah, it's unaware and normalized. And one of the reasons it's unaware is because it's normalized. They just normalize it. They grew up in that kind of environment. They grew up around those kinds of people, and they just normalized it, and settle for this is how life is. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I would say is, okay, it starts with, you can never change nothing if you don't know nothing. The first step is not knowledge, information. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then once information is there, what has to happen is the person has to experience somebody else in a different environment, mm-hmm, who's strong enough to not allow that to happen to them.
Right. And I thought about people who you have families that live with guns, not a gun, but they live with guns in the family. And I'm thinking, if anybody ever got out of control, and we probably heard it on the news, didn't maybe get all the information as to why this happened, but sometimes people just lose it. They allow their anger to just reach a point of no return, and people have killed loved ones. They've killed family members, and sometimes you wonder what caused that. Normalizing bad behavior, mm-hmm, normalizing unhealthy behavior, normalizing toxic relationships, that can get you literally killed. It happens all the time. If the news were to give us feedback about everything that came across their desk, but they decided not to air it on their program, it would be a lot, because this happens all the time.
Yeah, I think we compare as well. As long as I'm not as bad as this person, when this person get mad, you know what I mean? They do this. Mm-hmm. So I think we compare ourselves with each other to justify, ourselves.
It's this world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this world. I'm telling you, the things that we get taught in this world.
Yeah.
Wrong is right. Right has become wrong, and wrong has become right.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how do we get this stuff off our quote? How do we let this stuff go?
You need a forklift, because those boulders are heavy. You need a forklift, man.
Mr. Joe always brings levity.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Joe.
That means you need some serious help. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you can't pick it up. You got to get it. Yeah. That translates into what? That forklift translates into what? See, I like analogies and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, pastors, the forklift translates into what?
Some serious help, like you said. some strong assistance. Sometimes it can be a counselor, it could be a coach. Mm-hmm. It can be some healthy people that you, mm-hmm, hang out with, or mm-hmm, and that can give you information and model it at the same time. Mm-hmm. Quite often, anger management, people that take anger management are in denial. They don't think they have an anger problem.
Right.
They
think it's the other person. It's their fault I feel this way.
Yet anger management courses give you tools. Mm-hmm. It gives you tools to use to manage your anger. Mm-hmm. We in the one that we teach is called, there's a tool there called a anger thermometer. Mm. And anger thermometer, it gives you a scale, how were you irritated? Were you mildly irritated? Were you angry? Were you
Furious.
furious? This week, where were you this week? The beginning of the process is to start to monitor yourself. Monitor yourself, because if you don't monitor yourself, we're acting out of emotion, and we're acting off of we're just reacting. We don't have a clue that this thing actually has a grip on us.
And then they also give the image of an iceberg. You know, we always see the top of an iceberg, but that gives us no clue about what that bad boy looks like underneath. You know, that's what happened to the Titanic. You know, they didn't understand. I mean, by the time they saw it, it was too late because it had done a lot of damage underneath the ship. And so paying attention to where your thermometer is helps you to get in a vein of, okay, I can't let that take me over the edge. I can't allow that to ruin my day. You know, that's that person, that's not me. Because the only person that we have control over is ourselves. And if we don't have control over ourselves, we can be just like that other person that is just going way out in left field and starting to throw things. You know, it's time to leave the room. You know, they're starting to say things. It's time to pay attention. Okay, they're starting to say some things and it sounds like they don't have a handle on their tongue. So maybe this would be a good time to leave. Though there's signs that let us know that person isn't healthy. That person isn't aware of their behavior and how it's affecting other people.
So like forgiveness, anger, the emotion anger. See, the forgiveness part is a decision, but the emotion anger, it starts with, I need to know. See, anger never is the result of somebody else doing it to you. It's the result of you deciding to get angry because of what someone did. That means all what they did was just a stimuli.
Trigger.
And that stimuli came to you and you processed it and made a decision about what to do about it. So if you make a decision to get mad, you can make a decision not to get mad. But as long as I think you're making me mad, I'm helpless. I'm helpless.
I'm at your mercy.
Yeah, I have no power. You have all the power. So I need to know what my triggers are. And so with the anger thermometer, it says every day monitor. Okay, where was I today? Okay, I was mildly irritated. So underneath that, it says, what made me mildly irritated? What was the thing that did that to me? After a while, I get to know me and the things that do this to me. And now that I know where I am and what's happening to me, I learn that I have power over me, because at the end of the day, I'm the one making the decision. It's not the stimuli, it's me making the decision.
And I was thinking about someone taking inventory in a warehouse. You need to know how much product you have. You need to know what you need to order, or you need to know what you can hold off on. And if you don't take inventory, you can end up buying unnecessary product, or you can use up product before you even know that, hey, we don't have as much as we thought we had. So taking inventory of yourself is a process. Learning who you are, learning why you are, learning where there's some outside influences that cause you to feel the way you do. You know, because there's a lot of things that go into, am I willing to forgive? Am I willing to let go? Am I willing to give an apology? Am I willing to work on me? That's the hardest thing to do, is to look at yourself and be honest about who you are as a person, because we don't want to see faults. You know, somebody says, oh, you got a little something on your mouth, and it's like, no, I don't. They can see it, you can't. You know, they say, oh, you know, here's a tissue. You know, you might want to go to the restroom and just, you know. I actually did that at work one time because someone was talking to me and they had a little something going on in the nose. And I just gave them a tissue. Rather than embarrass them, I gave them a tissue. I said, you might want to go into the restroom and take care of that. And they knew what I was saying, but they weren't aware of it because they couldn't see themselves. And it's hard to see us for who we are, because we don't like to see the bad. We don't like to see
the realities.
We justify it.
The realities, I say.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't like to see the realities. We're humans, and
yeah.
So basically knowing your buttons, like what button you have, where's your buttons, and why are they your buttons? Almost like the banana I use when I told you the story about the banana. It's knowing what makes you slip, what makes you slide, what makes you fall into getting upset or getting out of control or giving up your power. So, you know, where are the bananas on the floor so you can go around it or pick it up? You know, like, what are you going to do with it? Well,
my challenge then is, so, because I like analogies. So some people are like flies, right?
Okay.
Explain a little more.
Well, yeah, you know that, you know, you're sitting there and that fly comes, and you know what I mean? So now the fly is just being a fly.
Flying around.
Right. So what do you do in that scenario?
Okay, with a fly, you'd probably get a fly swatter, but with a person.
The person that's the fly.
And then even before that, I would say, look to see if there's any open windows or doors. Why is the fly in the house? The fly's not supposed to be in the house.
Yeah.
So what boundaries are broken?
Basically? So that person that's like that fly, how do you, because you're just sitting there minding your business.
Okay, so you again, the whole thing would be then you might have to remove yourself from the fly's presence for a little while until the fly can figure out, the fly who is a person that has the capacity to figure out.
Yeah.
They don't want to be around me. You know?
Yeah.
Wonder why.
Yeah, because you as a person, like, and I'm trying to circle it back to the buttons and stuff, like, so if you as a person got this person that's acting like a fly, pushing those buttons, you start to get angry now, right? So you have to figure out, you know, like you were saying, you got to figure out your buttons and what pushes your I already said button, pushes your button. You understand what I'm trying to go with?
I understand what you're saying, but there's a part that probably help your theory a little bit better. Is with the fly, what is the first thing that we do? We go like this.
Swat at it.
So as a person, that's telling them, doing the XYZ that we talked about before, this is the problem, this is how I feel, before you get to that extreme. So, and like I think Pastor Flower, she was saying is find where the open line, that means reset your boundaries. There's a boundary that you allow this person to go farther in. And then if it gets to the point that they can't get this, like the fly can't figure out you need to go away, then we need to go away, like Pastor Flowers said, of in a fly case, you know what I mean, kill it, or, you know, you cannot have a healthy relationship with that person. You have to take care of yourself first.
So get up and remove yourself. You just get up and walk away from the person.
Exactly.
If they start,
but if it's a fly, you kill it. You don't walk.
But no, what I'm saying is, just to further the analogy, is as you walk away to remove yourself from that, like flies do, like a person that start following you. You know what I mean?
They're not. A person that's doing that is probably not aware of what they're doing to you. And that's probably not very healthy thing to do to a person. Uh, and so again, in the process of connecting with different people, it's really important to be healthy, and because it's healthy people that recognize other healthy people. And it's, and in the process, sometimes we discover we may not be as healthy as we thought we are, and then we do the work to develop to become healthier, if that's such a word.
Healthier is a word. Yeah, it's legit.
Developing, because at step 2, which is where we are, unskilled but aware now, it still doesn't develop skills. That's just, I know I need to do something. It's step 3 of this thing that really starts to develop skills, which is really awkward, uncomfortable. It's doing the work to change me, doing the work. And even with unforgiveness, it's the same thing. I can be at step 2. I'm aware of it, but I don't know what to do about it. You know, it's step 3 that starts the process. It can be painful, but it is the beginning of starting the process of becoming skilled as well as aware. Learning is possible at step 2. You can't really start to learn when you don't know that you don't know.
Right.
That's not a learning place. It's just, you know, and there's a lot of people that don't know they don't know. Okay, so the beginning of learning is step 2, which is skilled and unskilled but aware, which means I know that I don't know. I know that I don't know. So now I begin to do. Okay, so it ain't you now, it's me. It's me. So step 3 then becomes, okay, I need to do something about what I don't know, that I know I don't know. Now, what do I do? So anger management classes might be a step if anger is the beginning of that process. A coach or someone to help that's safe, that you can really deal with what happened to us in the past that may be triggers for us now.
And even, I was going to say, even if you have someone that is genuinely concerned about you as a person, and they know when you're kind of going over the edge, they can give you a look without saying a word. They can give you a look to say, okay, that was a little sharp. You know, your tongue was a little sharp, or you were a little curt. Do they call it curt? You were a little curt with that person. And so it helps, because I have a coach. I have someone that helps me and lets me know without making me feel bad, without making me feel like, oh, you're a bad person, you didn't handle that right. He can just give me a look and lets me know, okay, let's try to do that different next time. Not better, let's do it different. So it gives you food for thought. And that's what we do as families. That's what we do as couples. We help each other grow. Because growth is what makes relationships healthy. It's what makes relationships grow. It's what makes them blossom and flourish, and any other adjective you want to throw in there. But all of us are learning. You never get to the place where you can't learn.
Right.
You know, because then that's arrogance. Oh, nobody can teach me anything. Okay. Okay.
Oh boy.
But if there's something going on that we don't agree with, or that it offends us, it's time, like James said, it's time to speak up and say something. You hurt my feelings. I wish you hadn't said that, or I wish you hadn't said it like that.
Now, I have a question. I learned the hard way of when somebody truly, truly offend you and they do apologize, because I know the right thing is to forgive them, and I know the bad part of it. I always said I'm not going to hold on to stuff, but I think I said I forgive you before I allow myself to deal with the pain.
That's normal process. That is normal.
Oh, okay. Because somebody said I should say, I'm going to try to forgive you. I'm working on forgiving you, but don't just say I forgive you right after they offend you. When it's a clear offense, I mean, they know, you know, it's like totally horrible, and they apologize, and you say it's okay, you know, I forgive you, and it's like you didn't even take in everything that they said yet, and you already said you'll forgive them, and now they expect you to act like everything's okay and that, but you're like still processing it.
Yeah, well, it's you might again have to have that conversation that, like you say, I'm processing through the hurt, but I'm not, it has nothing to do with you now. It's just about me, you know.
And you're speaking in the affirmative when you say, I forgive you.
Yeah.
But you have to let that person know, I have to work on this. It's like we're saying, we're all saying, it is a process. We say it because we know it's the right thing to do, and we want to forgive. We don't want to hold on to poison and keep drinking from that bottle and just killing ourselves. But at the same time, we want to do right by that person, especially if we're in a relationship with them, especially if it's between a mom and a dad, or siblings, or if it's something that a child did to their sister or their brother, you know, because we automatically say I'm sorry, but we don't explain what that is.
That is so true. Because I remember I did that to my boys. They offended each other. And I told one of them to say sorry to the other one. And they went to him saying, Mama said to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then they turned around and said, the other one's like, well, I'll forgive you because Mama told me I have to. You know, and that was it. I'm looking like something went wrong. Like I taught them right, but I didn't teach them right because I didn't tell them the background of it. I just said you supposed, you know what I mean? Like you have to.
You got to spend that time. You have to actually spend that time to.
And if I would have never heard them actually do that,
yeah, here's what you know.
if I, you know what I mean? Like if it so happens they would have did it in the back room or something, I would have never known they didn't get it. Like I had to like, wow, I'm thinking I'm teaching them, but I skipped a step.
Yeah, you've been so proud of yourself.
Yeah. I was gonna say the first thing you do is model it. You know, and because kids, I mean, their brains aren't completely developed. They do reach a stage where they're starting to understand some abstract concepts, but it still needs to be modeled. And then you start teaching so that they can understand it enough to actually do it and know what they're doing.
I like that of teaching because you can model it, and because you're letting it go and stuff, they still don't know how you're thinking, that you actually have to teach them or talk about it. Right. Like, yeah, you know, what happened last week still bothers me, and I'm still letting it go with this other person. But I chose not to let them know I'm still dealing with, you know, like have that conversation. So that's what I had to learn how to do with them, because the other way just wasn't, you can't just say, you supposed to, you do this or how to do this, because it was always Mama said. So
it's like teaching our children to say the Pledge of Allegiance. They have no clue what that means. Yeah. They have no clue at all. Or teach them the Lord's Prayer. They have no clue until they get to an age where cognitively they, you know, the mind is starting to develop, where they can get concrete understanding about certain things. So it's important to teach them to do the right thing, but then it's also important to teach them why. The why is important, because they'll do it just like a little robot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mama said, say I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mama said, say I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So
I'm so mad.
My question is, I know with you, Pastor James, we had the conversation before, and I would love for you to say it on the podcast. Did I say that right? Podcast. That if somebody has a hard time of forgiving the person, like it's just within, that is not within them, that they have to go to God. Do you remember how you described how to do it when somebody's stuck of forgiving somebody?
Yeah,
Mm.
well, yeah, I in our church or in Christian community, it's going to the cross. Uh, what that means is, first of all, I need to realize that I am not perfect, and I have done things that hurt other people. So if I'm not perfect, I actually have no real right to not forgive you. There's no real reason for me not to forgive you.
Because I'm not perfect
Because
either.
I'm not perfect and need forgiving. And the Christian takes it to the next level. Okay, what have I been forgiven of? Because that puts me in the frame of reference so that when I look at you, I don't have this feeling of, well, you shouldn't have done this. Well,
Superiority.
yeah, because there's so much that I shouldn't have done,
Mm.
that I was released from,
Mm.
that I didn't have to pay for.
Mm.
So I'm in the wrong place when I'm trying to make you pay for something,
Mm.
when God didn't make me pay.
Right.
So that's the beginning of dealing with the inner knot, getting in the right place to deal with the knot. Most of the time we're that, but you don't understand, but you don't know what they did, or you don't know what they said, but you wasn't there. You don't see what they did to me. Okay. But the reality is I need to go to what I did to put me in the right frame of mind to look at you. Because if I was released, I have no justifiable reason to hold you. And that speaks, if I'm holding on to unforgiveness, that doesn't speak about you. It speaks about me. The only person that can make this right after you let them go is you. The one that's hurt is the only one that can fix it. The other person can't fix it. You can punish them all of your life, but they can never fix what they've done. They can never fix it.
And they get stuck on trying that the other person should make them whole again. And that's not realistic.
No, not at all. Not at all. Because no one can it's not about them and them being whole. It's about us, me and me being whole. They may not choose to want to be whole. And we live in this democratic society, this melting pot of different people with all these different cultures and all these different upbringings and all these different things they've been taught. And we're all here on the same planet. We got to live together. Well, how do I live here and stay healthy? Because ultimately, I'm going to run into some of these kind of people that don't have value for me just because of my color. And they act out like they don't have value. What do I do with that? How do I get away from people that don't value me? How do I get away from people that don't respect me? Boundaries. I put up boundaries. But once I put up boundary and they're out there where the fly is, I can't keep dwelling on them. I can't keep saying, man, did you see what they did? How could they? I gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
Good stuff. I think so. This is very good. So now, are we picking up next week then, or not next week, but next time for the apology section of it?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I'm glad we kind of did it separate because it is a lot. It's about you for forgiveness. Mm-hmm. It's all about you.
About you.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. People get stuck on thinking they give up their power. I give my power to Joe that he offended me and now he has to make me whole again because he offended me. And I don't realize, that I gave him the power to fix me instead of you know what? If whatever he does, I have to make myself right again. I have to make myself whole. I have to, you know, I might have that scar and I might have it for life, but I have to deal with, you know,
Yep.
with it.
Because he can't fix you. Only way to fix you is you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because people keep saying, I'm waiting for them to make me whole. And that might never happen.
Yeah, that's right.
So the person might pass away and they're still waiting.
It's funny. Well, not funny, but it's ironic you said that, because that was part of the discussion last night. The person, they're holding a unforgiveness on a person that's passed away. What do I do with that? You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, then this has been a good segment. We thank you for your time, Pastor James, and enlightening.
Always my pleasure. I always enjoy this and learn from you, and learn from the two of you. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much. So we want to say to our listeners, please comment below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Click that bell, right? Get notified when new videos are uploaded. And so we will see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in.
All right.
Bye.